What's up, everybody? Real quick before the Ramblecast starts, firstly, thanks very much for clicking on it. It's got a long run time, I know. Scary for some, so you're brave for clicking on it. I definitely appreciate that. It was a lot of fun to do. My buddy and I have done Ramblecast in the past here on the channel. It's been a while. And for this, we decided to use Discord. Normally we use Skype. We decided to use Discord here. And it worked out well enough. There were some audio glitches, but I've had audio issues as well with Skype, so I haven't found a perfect way to do that yet. But it worked out well enough. I just wanted to give a quick heads up that, hey, this is the first time I use Discord to record off of. And yeah, there are some things I am aware of being kind of a little bit of audio hiccups here and there. I'm aware of it. There's nothing I can really do with it at the time. Nothing's really lost to Reddit, though, so thanks very much for dealing with it. I don't feel the need to comment. I am aware, and I will see what I can do for future stuff. But anyways, with that all said, thanks very much for stopping by, and let's kick it off with the rest of this ramble, the Ramblecast to follow. What's up, everybody? It's been a long time since one of these Ramblecasts happened, which is kind of like a podcast. In fact, it's exactly a podcast. But with that said, I brought back up this time, so say hello.
What? What? Where am I? Who are you?
I don't know. But I ripped them forth out of the time stream, and now we can do...
Is this what they call the interwebs?
The interwebs, exactly. It's how you been?
Tired and overworked.
Yeah, same. So, the reason we are gathered here is because there was an Indomitus box. And they previewed the box for Indomitus. And I wanted to talk about it the moment I saw it. I'm like, why don't I do a Ramblecasty thing instead? And then I was like, hey, Matt, you like the two forces in here like I do, and you're not somebody who's going to instantly disown it because it's Primaris. You want to talk about it? And thus, this was born. Now, before we even start off with all of the models, I have to say this. I am really impressed that they're all push fit.
Are they?
Yeah, they say, we're not pulling your collective legs. They are all push fit. All these new amazing managers are indeed in the Indomitus box. What's more, they're all push fit. And the Beyond the Box stuff, which we're also going to talk about as a bonus, is also push fit. And then they say at the end of that there'll be more Primaris, Space Marines, and Necrons to come, including centerpiece models, more vehicles, and including multi-part kits, right? So I'm assuming certain things, like the Necron Warrior thing we'll get to later, will probably have these guys as a, you know how they're easy to build for like Plague Marines and like Primaris stuff. I'm assuming a bunch of this stuff will become easy to build with a multi-part plastic kit on top of it. Like the stuff that has a lot of options. The stuff that doesn't probably...
They mentioned in an earlier video that the Warriors were getting a new weapon, so eventually they're going to have to make a kit where you can swap between the two.
Exactly, and not be pushed for. But I have to say, the reason why I want to bring it up at the beginning is because they're really impressive. Push fit has come a long, long way. You wouldn't really think any of these are push fit.
No. That was kind of impressive because I just learned that today from this recording. My first thought is well, then the Necron Warriors will finally be easy to build.
Exactly, for once.
I think they're one of the only minis where I wouldn't mind push fit because they're terrible to build.
They were. The old ones were definitely a pain.
It's like Eldar Guardians. They're the one time I would welcome push fit.
So, as cool as these things do look themselves, we have to keep in mind we're looking at pusher, which means as much as I still want to see the sprue and how it all goes together, certain things will probably have a bit of variance once they're actually able to be in multi-part kit form, if they come that route. So, I just wanted to start off with that. But if we're going to go down the list, and of course that means Space Marines are first build, because Space Marines are poster children, and we're looking at a brand new Primaris Captain model, complete with visor flip-up helm shenanigans.
That'll work great, I think, in like a Black Templar or a Dark Angel army. In other forces, I'm like, it kind of looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the look. The reason why
it looks at the top.
Yeah, I don't know how the top
It
looks.
looks like.
Yeah.
And
The
apparently he does come with 4 extra heads, so
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have to do this head.
They did say it's a helmet visor option, which means when they say option, that means that you get the ability to sub it out. Um, I won't use this head personally ever
Probably
because
not.
the whole point of the head bit is to get the focal point on the eyes and the flesh around it, and I'm bad at both. So like that's the whole
Well, contrast paints may fix that.
yeah. But still, it's just like how to make the eyes look not surprised or stoned. I can't do that. So
Um, if I was to complain about anything, and this is official warning nitpick moment coming up here.
yeah,
My only big problem is there is a dead Necron on his base.
yes,
Because I get it, it's the story of the box set, but you take him out of the story, like I feel obligated now. All of the Marines that I build with him have to be fighting some sort of Necron because he's got a dead Necron there, so obviously he's fighting a Necron.
right. Now I
And
don't know
now
how
if I'm
that
going him against Chaos or Eldar, it's like, well, where'd that Necron come from?
right, and I don't know how that exactly will be. Like I don't know if that's a bit that glues onto the base.
He's probably like Saffron or Siphron from
Or like
Dark.
the dreadnought base where it's molded or something.
Yeah, or from from that's what I was trying to say, the limited edition chaplain from Dark Vengeance, where he's removable. You don't have to put him on the base he comes
Right.
with.
So all you gotta do is get a bare base.
Plain base.
Yeah, but no, it's good. When I saw the CG trailer, I was like, man, that's really cool. They put a skeleton on a storm shield. They probably won't do it in bit form, and here it is. And
Yep.
this makes me wonder how exactly storm shield energy field generation works, because now the eyes are glowing, which makes me think, okay, it emanates that force field around the skeleton, and it has to, because after every battle, you need a new dead guy on there. Because
Yep.
but like now two things. Firstly, interestingly, here and on a model we'll see later, the skull has engraved on it an eye, a very simple like rosette eye almost, which is weird.
Yep.
I wonder what it's odd, right? Because this isn't a Grey Knight storm shield or anything like that. This is a Space Marine storm shield.
I honestly think that has to do with the fact that it's supposed to be an Imperial martyr, so
Exactly.
he must carve the eye on his own head beforehand, and the Space Marine's like, screw it, it's a skeleton.
Oh yeah, it does give an extra bit of detail paste for dry brushing and washes and stuff to get in to make it not that a skull is boring, but this is 40K where skulls are breakfast. So I mean,
I do like the servo stud.
yeah, the
over
service,
his eye.
yeah. So that's the one thing I just thought it was a little interesting, and being that it is an Imperial Martyr specifically, not just any skeleton will do, has to be an Imperial Martyr.
Yep.
I imagine that once they're dead, they engrave things on them anyway, and that's why it's engraved there. So
Yeah, kind of like the servo skulls have a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff on them in the highly detailed images that we get.
exactly. And the second thing is, I think people are getting too hung up on the fact that it's a Space Marine with a skeleton, so it's got to be a Space Marine skeleton. Nowhere does it say another Space Marine. It says Imperial Martyr. Also,
Yeah.
if you really hold it up to scale, it's shorter than the dude. So
Yes. On that note, some people have made the argument, well, with the skeleton, put some flesh around them, he could be a Space Marine. And my note is the scale is probably that way because if he was smaller, he'd look weird on the shield.
yeah,
They
yeah,
probably scaled him up so he would fit on the shield.
yeah. Plus, genetic enhanced normal people, but
Also, there has been confirmed in some books there are regular people who are so big they kind of look like Space Marines.
right. And even if we rule that out and just say that. The simple thing is sometimes the flair and the form of a thing trumps getting the scale more accurate, right?
Yep.
Like
These are heroic scale minis.
exactly,
So.
they're not meant to be realistic scaled at all.
Like
And
people complaining about Terminators with how their shoulders line up with their heads.
yeah, it's like it's not meant to make sense too much. You're like as long as you're not scratching your head, going, "Is that a human?" As long as you're not doing that, then you're fine. right?
I mean, we're playing a game with dudes with 3 lungs, 2 hearts, can spit acid and gain the memories of their victims if they eat their brain, and you have a problem with the scale of a skeleton.
Right, exactly. But more importantly, even if you flesh it out with flesh and muscle and tissue, it's still kind of on the small side. If you give the bottom part some feet and stuff. So
You could just be big boned. I mean, those feet do cut off at the knee.
yeah. So the thing is, the reason I'm harping on the skeleton because it looks awesome, and I mean I love it. This is the way
It looks cool.
it sums up 40K, and 40K can be summed up in 3 words: impractical but awesome. Right? That's all of 40K. Over the top impractical. Like look at Titans. They make no sense why you would have a gigantic 400-foot tall walking imperator that walks.
In every like wartime, like the realism of sci-fi stuff, the giant war machine is always listed as the most impractical thing in the thing.
Yeah, it's the thing that should
Like
get destroyed immediately.
If you look at Star Wars, when they do the AT-ATs, they go, those things are pointless. Why did they make them?
Yeah, like the bigger something is, especially in vehicle format, like I'm not to go off on a quick tangent here. Everybody likes to compare 40K tech to real life and who would win what, right?
Yeah.
And on an infantry level, we'll get decimated every time. But you throw a Baneblade at us, we can take that down like nobody's business. We know how to take down big armored targets. So if we can do that with 21st century tech, why on earth are they still building it in the 41st millennium? But anyway, so like that. But anyway,
the fact that people's biggest complaint is that the skeleton, if it was a space marine, doesn't have an infused a fused rib cage, shows that there's little to nothing you can find wrong with it.
Yeah, like you're going off on the deep end.
For those who are going, oh, they're forgetting their own lore, they mention that in every codex. So no, they have not forgotten it's a thing.
Also, first off, a fused rib cage can still look like a rib cage with plates connecting the obvious rib cagey parts. Number one.
Yeah, like obviously he could have a plate behind his rib cage that is where the infused piece comes from.
Right.
You know?
And secondly, you know how boring a flat rib cage section would look? It would look like it's armored. Like like the skeleton form is done for the sake of the form. So it's one of those things where again you don't worry about scale so much. It's not meant to be a space marine, but I'm harping a lot on it because it's such a cool piece. I didn't think was going to happen, and if that's what you're getting at to pick on it, then they did their job with this mini as much. Yeah. And I think I love it. I absolutely adore it. I would love this to be a sign, not to get into anything rules, that maybe captains of the Primaris variety get a bit more options than the 3 that they have, but, you know, to pick and choose from. But it looks fantastic. All the detail on him, he's suitable. He's not over the top like
I said, I didn't believe he was a push fit mini until you told me.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And moving on with that, every box set needs a good lieutenant. Right, 40K is defined by lieutenants.
That Codex lieutenant isn't going to make its own minis. They have to come from somewhere.
Exactly. So this Primaris lieutenant, which we've seen on the Warhammer40k.com site, and we've seen them show this guy off after that site went live, is now being shown to us yet again. Right.
Probably one Primaris lieutenant that I kind of like.
I don't mind lieutenants. The thing.
A lot of them are boring and generic.
Yeah, because that's what a lieutenant is. Your aide in battle, right? He's not quite a captain, but he's more than a sergeant, right?
I just hate how it's like, and here's a new Primaris lieutenant. It's like it's the same model with a different pose. Like
that's what makes him new. No, but yeah, exactly. But I like this guy, and he's got the Neo Volkite pistol, which we did see rules for, which I won't get into. But I just love Volkite looking guns. Like, they look great.
I'm a little sad that it's a new thing that Cole made, but whatevs, everything the Primaris Marines is new. I like how his holster actually looks like it can fit the thing.
Oh, yeah, that's one great thing. And also, and everybody kind of always goes, Call, whatever. Like, remember, the whole Primaris setup is Call's design at the permission of Gulliman. So everything that's designed for them is designed by Call, which is why it has one thing I like about the Primaris overall, that what is part of the charm of the normal Space Marine for not having it, but also kind of a nuisance for it not having it, is this uniformity to the Primaris. They're all cut from the same like pattern cloth because one dude is responsible for all the equipment for it. You know what I mean? And it just feels nice. I do like the hodgepodge of Mark II through Mark 8 armor you could do with everything else. But it's nice when you can look at it and go, yes, I see how this is a fighting force, and not look at it and go, so is this bring your own helmet to work day? What happened? It's like,
I like some of the things I like on this is like, again, I like the size of the holster because that was always one thing with older Marine kits. You see the holster and you're like, their bolt pistol ain't fitting in that.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I like that he actually has his sword on him. Like, I don't know why, but I think a sheathed sword on a Space Marine looks freaking awesome.
Because they're Neo Space Knights. It always looks awesome.
I also like how the one purity seal on his shield arm is kind of distorted because that looks more realistic. Like, not all the wax seals are going to come out perfectly.
Oh yeah, and like it's on an uneven surface.
Plate look on him, like you can see where the plate is thicker on his arm because you can see where it claps on top of his vambrace and such. You get a little bit more detail of how this armor works. And I never noticed this before. I kind of like the Terminator hip plates that he has on.
Yeah, and what I really like about this guy, like you said, you see all this little detail, and it's throughout the range of Primaris, but you see it more when they give you these heroic models because they put a little more care. Not that there's no care in the other ones, but there's more when it's just one dude. And
they realize that the character needs to stand out. And
you get to see Mark X's modular nature because you take off all the extra armor and you got the Phobos. So I really like that you get to see that in there. It's one of those things with Mark X, though, that either you like or you're not a fan of. Like, I get why we'll probably never actually see, unless it's Mark X Terminus armor, which is Mark X Terminator. If we ever see that would make sense. We're probably not going to see a whole different mark of armor because all of their stuff is built around the Mark X. So, but he looks great. I love, like you said, the pistol looks like it can be holstered in there. His sword's drawn. He's obviously Blade Guard veteran lieutenant, right? Like,
and even on top of that, what I like is like I said, I mentioned before, like I complained that the Volkite was made by Cull, but I do like the fact that seeing it, like once you saw it, you would instantly knew, like, okay, that's a Volkite pistol. And then later we found out it's a brand new type of Volkite pistol, but still it kept the charm of so everyone would recognize it.
Yeah, and I like that they did decide to make it something new because, first off, Space Marines get a bad rap for being too stagnant. You know, it's like, this armor is 6,000 years old. No, like, you know, for like whatever armor that they got, or this sword has been reforged 19 million times because it keeps breaking. It's like, but I like that. Yes, this is obviously a Volkite, super ancient tech, but it's not just, hey, I dug some out of a closet. Here you go. It's like, hey, fluff-wise, I redesigned it so it's usable amongst our ranks again.
Fluff-wise, I like this kind of emphasizes that idea that I think kind of gets lost in a lot of discussions because you do see a lot of people going, why don't they develop new tech? And I'm sitting there going, well, they do develop new tech, but it has to be based on something old. And now you can go to the Volkite pistol on this Primaris Lieutenant, go take a look at this. It's a Volkite pistol, improved. Cull took existing tech and made it better based off an old piece of tech. So they can expand, they just don't change the base core principles around it. Yeah. And this, I think, is a great example of that.
It's a great example of that for sure.
Like the Hellblaster plasma guns, you know, it's still a plasma gun, but he made them better.
Yeah, one thing in the Imperium with 40K is that they are dramatically held back by them. As much as the Mechanicum helps out, the Mechanicum holds back their technological prowess. Because if they weren't just so superstitious and cult-like, they would be making... We're probably at Mark 27 armor by now, you know what I mean?
The Dark Mechanicum didn't ruin the whole joy of making new things.
Yeah, exactly. They would probably be way out there. So
I know, what's the obsession with keys and locks?
Everything needs keys and locks, obviously.
Like, you always see... In a lot of new minis, I see a lock, a key, or both.
you gotta have it. I mean, it's safety first. But but like, yeah. So the thing is, like, why doesn't the Imperium make new tech? Well, it's part of their fluff, right? They're stagnated, and it comes very
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
and it becomes very hard to introduce anything. And the only place you're gonna see it is stuff like Space Marines, because
Yeah.
why make something new for your guardsmen? No, but
There's a perfectly good speech in Purging of Calidus that explains why.
exactly. So I mean, he looks great. I mentioned he's basically a lieutenant version of a Blade Guard veteran, which we'll get to a little bit later. But first,
Yeah. That's one thing I will say that I like about the lieutenants, but also I think is what perpetuates the joke about Codex Primaris lieutenants, which is no problem with me, is how the lieutenants can be equipped to match up with whatever unit you plan to set them up with.
yeah, and that's kind of their
example of that.
point. That's kind of their exact point. So it can be like, I don't want to put my captain here, but
Yep.
I'll put this lieutenant here to buff them up. My captain will buff this up or whatever. So it makes I like it. It makes sense to me, but it is part of the jokes. But
Yep.
with that,
Just the fact that they just make hundreds of them.
oh, of course, it's you gotta have them all. Gotta catch them all, right? But
Seriously, dude.
now next up is a Primaris chaplain. Now this guy, I prefer the original Primaris chaplain, but this guy trumps him in two ways. He's got a Crozius. It looks like a freaking Crozius, not a rod, and his armor is a bit more ornate, but as opposed to the Grim Reaper original Primaris chaplain, who's my favorite of the two. But I
He
do
doesn't
like this
look
guy.
like he's wearing a trench coat.
Yeah, I mean, because the other guy's got the robe and everything, and the hooded skull, and he looks the part with the helmet, right? But the big problem he has is his Crozius is just a little skull on top of a rod. It's like that's a Crozius is supposed to be a mace. It's like this guy though is gloriously detailed.
He is nicely detailed. I'm gonna say one good thing, one bad thing. About this, like my initial thoughts on this guy. The bad thing that instantly came to mind is he's a mirror of the other Primaris chaplain's pose.
That's
like
true.
exactly. Good thing he doesn't look like he's wearing Stormcast armor like the other chaplain, because the other chaplain's legs are clearly Stormcast Eternal.
True.
Like this one actually looks like he's in Space Marine armor.
Yeah, the other one is definitely much more stylized, but that's part of the reason I like is that he's very the other one is very stylized to be the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, take that dude's head and put it on this guy's body, and he'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, now this guy, when I first saw him, my gut reaction was, so this is what Primaris Cassius is going to look like, because it's almost identical like Cassius' look, even the bionic, well, he's got the head part here instead of just the eye, but like...
Which faction is Cassius?
Chaplain Cassius of the Ultramarines. The chaplains did the Death Watch thing. He's the one who's like brought up Marneus Calgar and everything.
Interesting. A Space Marine from the Ultramarines? I don't know.
Yeah, he's the chaplain that had the Combi Hellfire the Combi Flamer fire thing.
I've never seen him used ever in a game.
He's never used ever. In fact, when Death Watch first came out, he was the one that led the squad.
He's never mentioned in the lore, so Matt Ward must not be a fan of him.
He's got his background thing. He made the Tyranid Hunters. He made he formed the Tyranid Hunters. He was a big part of the Death Watch. Like because of the Death Watch and everything like that. After the Tyranid things, then he formulated the non-Codex variant of Tyranid Hunter group for the Ultramarines and led it. And he brought up. We have technical difficulties, it seems like. So, how's everybody doing here? And he's back.
I'm back. Apparently, Discord didn't like me opening up another tab.
No, they don't. I guess. I don't know. But, yeah.
I for some reason, I thought Sicarius was part of the whole Tyrannic War vets, but then I probably just assumed that because the joke is Sicarius is everywhere. Well,
Sicarius is everywhere. It's for good reason. But no, Cassius is the one who... I think his first name's Orton, because they gave him first names like 5th edition or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I think I've seen him used exactly once ever. And he has a very similar setup with the gold gilding on his legs, and he's got a bionic eye on his right eye and everything. When I saw this, I'm like, huh, he could look like this. But I really like this guy because while he doesn't embrace the Grim Reaper aspect as much as the other Primaris Chaplain, this one's more ornate. Plus, if you just do a little bit of weapon swapping and a different head, that's a fantastic captain for your Mortifactors or anybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, here's another example of the eye on that skull, engraved on the skull.
I love this whole. I keep forgetting all these dudes have iron halos because I'm like, why do they all keep them like iron halos?
Gotta have an iron halo.
I do like that the wings on the mace are folded in.
Yes.
Because all of them having this like giant wings like spread on like that would make a terrible hammer.
Yeah, well, the thing about the Crozius is that it's not quite a hammer and it's not quite an axe. It's not quite a mace. It's like a stylized mace that could be a mace like a hammer pick mace or just a flat-headed mace. So,
and interesting enough, again, he's got the same Terminator thing going on.
Yep, it's gotta protect them hips, but
and they love them half robes.
You gotta
like they're setting this all up for they're setting this all up a lot for like I could just see Black Templar players going nuts with these guys.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic.
Tabards and everything we got going on.
Oh yeah, no, it's really enhanced by certain forces, but fits pretty much almost everybody.
Yeah.
This guy though, great. The one thing I will say about it, I would love a chaplain posed, good in Dawn of War proper, full golf swing. I just want to see it. Just like
I originally thought this was a Chaos dude because I thought that helmet was a shaved head. Because we only saw the black and white photo, so I'm like, I guess this is a Chaos character, but he's got a bunch of Imperial markings that match up with the Primaris, so he can't be.
Yes, we're on the Judicaire now. The Judicaire.
I like that sword.
That sword, I give bonus points to whoever designed this because that's based on a real life medieval weapon, which was a sword that had a flat end, just like that was made to be heavy for the sole purpose of chopping people's heads off. It's literally an executioner's sword, and that's what he's using it for as well in this model. So, bonus points for that. My golf swing was in reference to the chaplain. But just for people who might be confused. But no, this guy, Judicaire, I want to know his lore because he's got to be a subset of the chaplaincy.
Yeah, definitely. I do like one of the things I just noticed is how he's doing like the samurai half.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I immediately thought, Kenshin Himura, is that you? but he's doing the samurai classic thing, which is fine. It works.
And they're showing off the fact that the Imperium does have forms of time technology.
Yeah, which, by the way, I need to know more on that because this literally came out of nowhere. The Temporal Mortis, literally out of nowhere. I'm like, what do you mean control time? Because my idea with the my armor's DIY things is that fits in perfectly. Secondly, where'd this come from?
Well, this kind of like reminds me of like in I think it was the Araman trilogy I was reading. We had a bunch of Imperial soldiers that were doing tests in the warp, and they had these chrono devices on their chests so they could resync with real space. So, and I always thought, oh, that's kind of neat that they have like this like time-based technology. They should. I think that would be cool if they kind of utilize that a little more, kind of like with the stasis, like kind of expanding on the stasis fields.
Yeah, because we've seen stasis stuff and stasis bombs and the stupid Lucas tricksters who took out a heart for a stasis bomb. Anyway, yes. But like, it's funny when the instant you said they had this Chronos thing to resync with real space, my immediate thought was they had a pocket watch.
Basically, it looked from the way it described it. In the book, it looks like just like a pocket watch in a vest, and they twist it, and it resyncs them into real space.
Right. It's just funny. I'm literally thinking all it is like a Casio watch that is like, we have this ancient tech. It resyncs us with real space. All it is a stopwatch. But yeah, no. But yeah, the temper mortise is just cool. I want to know more about it because this is the first time that bus.
Assuming it's going to have some sort of special rule dealing with mortal wounds.
Oh yeah, but I just more so want to know the lore behind it because this is honestly is pretty freaking an advanced tech to come out of nowhere. Yeah. So like and to be stylized. I mean, obviously it's gonna be stylized, but to be, I'm assuming the hourglass.
Yep, that is definitely what it is.
My biggest nitpick with this guy is he's like, bro, I gotta pose. Take off my right shoulder pad. It's like,
my only problem with this model is the helmet.
Yeah, I don't. It's weird because I don't know why it's got the cloth around the skull helmet. I don't mind it. I would love if he had an option without the cloth, a pure skull Terminator, like Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator skull.
It's like I said, when I first saw this, I instantly thought he was a Chaos dude because this kind of getup screams Chaos cultist to me.
Yeah, I get that with the head, but the nice thing is you can put whatever head you want on there. But he's got it. Like, I want to know more about the Judicare and the setup, and he's a Primaris. He's Primaris, and looks like a subset of the chaplaincy because the armor's all black except for the chaplain thing.
So definitely, he's definitely like some form of like chaplain lieutenant kind of thing.
But
where
I likes him. I wants him. I want to be able to take that right arm off and put a proper shoulder pad on that arm with a different weapon to make him something else completely. But I also like him the way he is.
He'd also be a good base for Emperor's Champion.
Yeah, he would. I mean, you don't even have to do anything. You just there he is, Emperor's Champion. So, but
the only thing maybe you would want to do is lose the hourglass and maybe add like a Black Templar charm at the bottom, so he's got like this chain thing.
All you got to really do, real quick on this, is you chop off the hourglass if you want to. And you take one of the sensor mace weapons from the Dark Angels, put it on there. He's got a sensor.
Yeah.
And now he's good to go.
Pretty ballin'.
Yeah, so he's good to go. So he looks awesome. He's probably going to have... I'm also assuming he's going to deal with Psychers a little bit because of Psychic Awakening. They mentioned how he's a part... Because of Psychic Awakening, they made this guy. So we'll see. Probably. Because remember, chaplaincy was to deal with librarians in the beginning, so this might be harkening back to that.
The whole purpose originally was to make sure chaplain chapters legions were complying with the council.
Basically.
And so someone knocked their head over it.
Yep. So literally, and it was a chaplain, funnily enough. But with that, we now go to dudes we've seen quite a lot: the Blade Guard veterans.
These guys are pretty cool.
They're awesome, and it makes so much sense why we've only ever seen these three poses because this push fit. These guys, I hope, are going to get a multi-part plastic kit because they have that holster, and this is where I hope the Volkite pistol isn't literally just that lieutenant, because how cool would it be if Blade Guard veterans would upgrade their pistol?
I also think these dudes, after seeing that one picture of it, they look really cool in Deathwing colors.
Yes, they do. But, like, they just look cool.
They are. They're, like, pretty freaking awesome.
This is where I wanted to see the skeleton, and then the lieutenant doesn't have it either. You got to be a full-on captain for that, but it's fine.
Yeah. It's the arm strength. You need to be a captain to hold up that skeleton.
Exactly. But like these guys look great. I'm wondering what options they will have as a unit because I'm hoping one of the things that I want more of with Primaris stuff is like war gear options for your squad. Right? Typically, it's like very limited, very very limited, and when you have holstered pistols, people say it's a cop-out, but it's the perfect opportunity. Heck, when I wanted to build my own company master, and I gave him a sword and something else on his other hand, but it wasn't a weapon. And then I put a holstered pistol, and sometimes it was a bolt pistol, other times it was a plasma pistol. Who you just say it's not? It's in a holster, right?
Yeah.
It's a little cheesy, sure, but it's, I think, an easy way. And we see the Primaris lieutenant drawing his pistol from the holster, and it's a Volkite. So it'd be pretty cool if there was an option for at least the squad leader to get a Volkite.
Yeah, sergeant can probably pick up a Volkite because usually the sergeants have the cool fun toys.
Now, speaking of Blade Guards, this ancient though. Oh my god.
Nice.
Oh my god. They knocked this one out of the park. Firstly, that's the craziest I've ever seen one. I know it's not, but it's a banner. But that's definitely earns the title of battle standard because you could do battle with it. Yes,
you can. The robes, I love that look.
Yes, it's monastic. Monastic knight is fully here in this model.
this dude, the way he's also standing, he's just like standing like, you will not go any, the line must be drawn here and
Yeah.
not far.
It also looks like your very presence irritates me. It's just like to the
I,
enemy. It's like you're breathing. You should stop that. It's just like,
the one thing that makes me laugh a little bit is the skeleton is missing its left hand, and he's holding a left hand on a chain.
yes.
And I can't just help, like, it just fell off, and he's like, I'll put that back on later.
Yeah, right. That's later. I also like the cheesy joke that he'll be pretty handy in a fight.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one, but that's pretty good.
It's part of the descriptor on the bottom underneath him.
Oh,
Yeah, from
that's
GW. GW did the dad joke.
yep. You don't know, but even without any obvious weapons, we reckon he'd be pretty handy in a fight.
Now, I'm hoping he actually has got some type of cool fight rules that either. I'm hoping that weapon is actually will be funny, and Blood Angel fans might know what I'm talking about. If it's the dead man's hand like Taicho used to have, that's actually the dead man's hand, and he got this. He's got the rules for it, but or
And
he uses a standard as a mace because.
that thing is all metal, and it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger's skeleton on top.
It does. It totally does. And you could definitely beat somebody to death with that. I love the way it looks. Nothing against it. But I also think if you wanted to, you can make a really awesome standard cloth looking banner bearer if you cut it and do whatever you want. It's
Like, that
just,
would be a sick Brother Bethor
Oh, yeah.
primarized.
he just looks just that model is, mwah. Like, I just love it. And people might go, that's some kind of sister's robe like. I'm like, they're robes.
They're robes.
And those are monastic robes styled. So it's just so good. It's like,
Yep.
every kit, every box set has something you're just pleasantly pleased with, and this is when I just went, that's nice. It's
And I
just-
also like how his Iron Halo is a literal halo.
yeah, it's great. He's just everything about him is just like, man, I want that guy in my life right now. Like on the paint up, he just looks fantastic.
No, he will be definitely worth it, the kit, to get him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And from that guy, we go to a squad. You know, if the Hellblasters were cool and the Mark 10, just tacticus pattern, here we got some Gravis going on with the Eradicators.
Mm-hmm. With
I love this.
long-range melta-guns.
Which,
By long range, they mean 1 extra inch.
hey, that's long. But no, and anytime you get a long range gun of doom, I'm a fan of it. Anytime you make armor that looks suitably beefy, but not like, but
How can you walk?
yeah. I just gotta say it. Gravis armor is the way to go if you want something to look really heavily armored, and if you want to not play Centurions because
Yeah.
Centurions look awful. But detailed great, just like they look like they shouldn't walk. But these guys can walk and talk and chew bubblegum.
Yeah.
And
And their helmets are pretty ballin', too.
their helmets are awesome. And
I don't know why I love the way they're holding the melta-gun.
oh yeah, it just screams this is gonna hurt you a whole lot. So,
It just screams like that thing's got a kick.
yeah, and I love it. I love it. It brings something to the table that they were lacking, which was Melta. But it also showcases again, like you were saying, this is tech made modified to be better in a way.
Yep.
This
This
not
is a
using-
new weapon using old tech.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it's in the hands of it's for the Primaris. Now I'm not saying this is mean if you're non-Primaris you can never wield this. No, but we're talking about a game here, and for a game that have units to be different, they have to be sectioned off like this. But
Yeah.
But it's such a good job with this. Again, harkening back to this tactical support squads of Legion times when you have a whole Legion full of just one heavy weapon or one special weapon, a whole squad of it. This is that. This is what the Hellblaster and Eradicators are based on.
Yep. Nothing looks more beautiful than a 10-man squad of last cannons.
Yes. But and we're seeing 3 of these guys, which makes you think these guys, this is going to be their easy to build kit. Because like right here, we're looking at it. And it's awesome. But they look great. Their helmets are fantastic. And you can put whatever
That circle thing on their elbow joints.
Yeah, it's probably some type of stabilizer.
Yeah, but I just like that
Yeah.
look. Again, it breaks it apart where you're like, oh,
yeah.
that's clearly this unit.
Oh yeah, they look beefy. Like this is Gravis without being crazy Gravis, right? It's like
Yep.
it just looks great. They look the part like you could just hear the battle going on and stomping in position, raising the gun, and just unleashing melta blasts everywhere. I'm really looking forward to seeing them in action and everything. And I like them a lot. I think they're job well done here for a new unit.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what's not new, because you see they tease these guys so much now, the Assault Intercessor Squad. We get to see them in full squad form.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically looks like it looks like two versions of a 5-man easy to build kit. I say that again because if you carefully, you can pick out 2 of each leg.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that because it's a box
3
set.
of the same in the front.
Yeah.
There's 2 right there in the corner. There's a third one.
There's like 3 or 4 leg options, I think.
Yeah, it looks like right now, just like from this angle, there's like 3 with their right foot in the air, 2 with pivoting their right foot like they're gonna go up, 2 with their left foot in the air, 4 with their right foot in the air, 2 with their legs standing on firm ground.
Yeah, so you got, and nothing wrong with that.
5-man kits.
Exactly. And then with the option to have a plasma. So clearly there's going to be some options in these push to fit because
and it looks like he's got a bionic arm too.
Yeah, always cool. I'm hoping they'll have more options. Like maybe your sergeant can have a sword instead of a chainsword.
Or a power fist.
Yeah. Now I get it. It's an Astartes chainsword, which obviously sounds like it should have different rules than a normal chainsword. Probably won't. Nothing crazy, right? Because we got it balanced. But I like them. It's adding some assault to the table. They're intercessors. They're equipped like, the same concept. Not a big deal. Some people are gonna go, my submarines have jump packs. What are you complaining about? So it's like, and they're still plenty viable. It's not like this negates the viability, but I just, one thing that and this isn't Primaris, this isn't this new edition. They've been doing this for years. They glorify the chainsword so much, and I'm so over it. Chainsword's cool. Don't get me wrong, but I just love power swords and power like let's not.
Power swords, I feel, are more intimidating than a chainsword.
Well, with you add sound to the mix, and the chainsword's way more intimidating. I feel like if we were like
that's the appeal of the chainsword is you get to go vroom vroom as you roll your dice.
Yeah, like in Dawn of War, they definitely sound scary and stuff, and that's where we hear it the most often. So that's why I'm using that as examples. But and I wouldn't mind the glorification of a chainsword if it wasn't forever just it's a basic close combat weapon, no different than a combat knife, right? Yeah. Like that's my problem with it. It's like we're glorifying something that literally had no extra abilities for so long. So it's whatever. But they look cool. There's not much to say to these guys aside from the fact that these are pushed to fit yet again. But I'm imagining a multi-part plastic kit, and I hope it goes together well with your intercessors and your hellblasters, and you can have running forward dudes with bolt rifles or hellblaster guns and whatnot. Now, ground clearance means nothing. We got the Outriders.
How do they drive?
Now, I will say this. Yes, the ground clearance is virtually nil, but we didn't really have much ground clearance on the normal Space Marine bikes either. So it's like
the plate that they rest their feet on touches the ground.
Right. And this is what I was saying earlier about all design from Call on his forge, basically, because you could totally see how these fit in with the Repulsor, with the Redemptor, and everything else. It's this design, like that's the uniform that I really like, because you look at a Space Marine bike, and if you look at the really gilded ones on the Ravenwing, they look cool. But then you look at like power armored walking guys, like just your standard tactical squads, and it's like clearly somebody else made these bikes because we're not jiving here. They're jiving here, and I like that.
So like that, the sergeant's got his helmet maglock to his side.
Yeah, a lot more practicality stuff. I always believe wear your helmet. If you're gonna ride a motorcycle, wear your helmet, kids.
Yes, seriously. I just like the fact that they're showing off that the helmet maglocks to the hip.
Yeah, it's great. It's showing off all the stuff that that all Space Marines have had, but we never see. Yep. They got their chainswords and they got their pistols properly equipped.
Linked bolt rifles on the front. And
they're apparently going to be pretty interesting. Like they talked about them a little bit, but again, I want to see the full shebang of what they get. And unless they have anything more to say in the closing for the Outriders, that marks off the Indomitus Space Marine side.
Yeah.
So we go to the Necrons, my boys. I love Necrons. I've always have. back when they only had like 5 infantry units, and that was it. Now they got a whole bunch of options.
Infantry units. They had 5 freaking units.
Pretty much, but now they got a lot, and of course you got to have a cool overlord. And this guy,
The Overlord is probably my favorite model in the Necron box for this kit.
anything that has a tachyon arrow instantly is a win in my book.
I love that that's the first thing everyone went with. And I was like that's what it is. I don't care what it is. It's a tachyon arrow.
Yep, and that's what I mean. It is. They even call it out as a tachyon arrow,
Yeah.
and it looks great.
I kind of like the look of his war scythe.
It's cool. It just looks a little weird, like the way he's holding it in the picture.
Yeah. It looks like they might have cropped it so you can see his hand.
Yeah, I think they did.
Blade, because it doesn't look. It looks like it's kind of molded into it, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking the blade goes in front of his hand, and just through bad photoshopping,
Yeah,
his hand went through it.
that's what I'm thinking. But he looks suitably the part of an overlord. The only other tachyon arrow I think we ever saw was on the Anarchy the Traveler.
The only one that had that.
So I love the tachyon arrow. First off, rule set lore wise, it's like yeah. This just one thing is the summary of how advanced Necron tech is. But what I like about him, he looks beefy, right? Like he's bulked up a bit.
I feel like he looks like there's circuitry in them, and like
Yeah.
he looks like he's got robotics.
Yeah, and he doesn't. But he looks armored, but it's not like he. But he still looks like he is the armor. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I like
And
that.
You know what else I think really what makes me really like him a lot
What's that?
is if you just focus from his shoulders up,
Yeah,
he screams the robot from Dread.
he does.
Like the way he's got the pistons on his neck, the shape of his head, that is the droid from the Stallone Dread movie, and that makes him awesome.
That is pretty awesome. So I mean, he looks great. Not much else to say there. Tachyon arrow, always a win. My favorite thing that you could give an overlord. Hopefully, still awesome. Onward to the second lieutenant. I mean, Royal Warden. This is the Necron lieutenant, guys. No bones about it.
No, and like what I liked about him was interesting enough. I thought he was just a regular immortal, and then I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, he's got a cape. He's something different.
He's got a half cape and he's got a little captain in him. He's standing on a rock.
Yep.
And I love that they call it out too. It's like even better. He's got his foot on a rock.
Yep.
And, but he looks awesome. He's got a little half capey thing for flair. He's got a relic Gauss Blaster, which I'm just thinking Gauss Blaster's already pretty potent.
Yeah.
So
This is the original, the OG Gauss Blaster.
yeah, the Royal Warden is here to keep things on track. He's basically your Necron lieutenant, which means guess what? Everybody's gonna get lieutenant stuff probably in 9th edition. But
Codex Primaris, Codex Lieutenant confirmed. It's just going to be a book of every faction's lieutenants.
exactly. But this guy looks great. Not much else to say on him. He's just a beefier looking immortal, and I'm really curious what he will be doing for the army.
Yeah, definitely. My guess would be something involving rerolls.
Probably. Now, with that, we go to I'm going to combo the Plasmancer and the Crypto Thralls together. We're going to talk
They're
about them.
basically the same unit.
But I do wonder, is it Tech Marine style, or is it a squad can be upgraded to have a Plasmancer, have him as a part of it, or is it both? Because Crypto Thralls, they say get a bonus when fighting alongside a Plasmancer or any other Cryptech. So I don't know how.
Upgrade to Cryptex and him. I'm thinking him and the Cryptex could take them as a bodyguard unit.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if you could just take them, period, and just kind of shamble around and do okay. But then if you have a Cryptech in the vicinity, to kind of like, hey, check this out. That's the only thing. But this Plasmancer,
He's got a chin that makes Jay Leno jealous.
yes, he does. His beard is metallic and glorious, but
That spear is freaking phenomenal.
oh yeah,
I want that spear on a Destroyer Lord.
I want that spear on everything Necron.
Yeah.
Like it looks so good, the Plasmix lance. But
Clever way to make him float.
Oh
because
yeah,
the spear is attached to the base and his little tail thing is not.
exactly. The spear's attached to the base, and I think one or two of his little like
Little cape tendrils.
cape tendril ornate things are as well. Perfect. He definitely looks like he's floating. Job well
Yep.
done. I also love this. This is the perfect example of how Necron creepy Necrons can be. He
Yep.
floats around. He looks frail, but you know he's not because he's a Necron.
He does look like an old man.
Yeah.
He's
And
even got a little clip over his eye to give him that little sad, squinty eye.
Yep.
Old
And-
men.
Yeah. These guys are also known as the Harbingers of Destruction, so they're no slouches. I mean,
Yeah.
that plasmic lance is apparently going to be really awesome. It just looks so good. I mean, this is everything Necron. And what's funny is, I think I told you about this when we saw Illuminor Xeras's new model. I was like, I would love for this to be the tip of the iceberg of a Necron overhaul. And
You did.
and
There we
prayer
are.
prayer answered. We're getting the year of the Necron. It's going to be awesome. The Crypto Thralls look great. Also, nothing to take away from them.
They do look cool.
They are in. What I like about them is that they are just kind of a murder bucket.
Yep. They look like something that, like, it looks like something they just built. Like, it didn't come off of, here's a person, stuff them in a robot. Like, it looks like just something they built.
Yeah, it looks the part. It looks fantastic. I love the unifying theme of there's some type of energy glow on the model. You know,
Yep.
so you can do that. And I'm Mephrit Dynasty all the way. I love that. Like we harness suns to power everything. Excuse me? Yeah, we captured the sun. Okay. So I'll
You are
make that
the
orange.
D of Necrons.
Exactly, and you got exactly what that is, and so you do that orange, but it does look awesome. I wouldn't be surprised if they never got a full multi-part kit, unless there's options we don't know about. Right? We have to see what the unit entry is to see if it's, to theorize what's going to get a multi-part plastic kit and what won't.
Yep.
What may not is what's coming up next, the Scorpec Lord, because there he is.
He is freaking awesome.
He literally looks like the Cryptex went, throw a bunch of weapons at it, see what sticks. All right, that works. I don't.
Murder everything.
What I like about him is that for a lot of stuff, Necrons feel very sterile, cold, and like very much logic, weapons, jive, everything good. And the Scorpec Lord flies in the face of that.
Yep.
I got a big axe, I got a flensing claw, I got an Emic Annihilator, I'm gonna kill everything. That's like, you do you.
Looks like a literal murder bot.
Yeah. And the, I love how they call him the final boss of the cinematic trailer, because it's totally how it felt. But,
Oh yeah.
now, for those that don't...
Out of nowhere, and it's like,
Yeah, and it was kind of like a, oh my god.
I'm glad
like,
that they only gave him 3 legs. I kind of
yeah,
like.
I like that. I love that trailer though, because I feel like that trailer was like if you're watching a history lesson, it was like, and that was the first recorded instance of the Scorpec Lord. Clearly, you could tell by the bemused look on their faces.
Yeah.
But the tripod thing is awesome. They're super advanced alien species whose technology is from eons in the past, but better than anything anybody's got.
Yeah.
And probably ever will get. They can figure out how to perfect the tripod. Also, have you ever tried to like shove over a tripod without being ridiculous about it? They're pretty. There's a reason that's used to hold cameras and stuff. It's like,
You know, they are not. They are not a piece of. It is not a design to scoff at.
oh, exactly. And obviously, with the advanced tech of the Necrons, you can make it shamble forward scarily. I love that they're destroyers who went, I could float and shoot, but I'd rather skitter and stab.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, then I could do that thing in the trailer where I stab a dude with my foot.
Exactly. I mean,
Like
so
that person lost a head. That was brutal.
yeah. Oh yeah. And to back up the big Scorpio Lord, 'cause there's not much else to say here. He looks awesome. I doubt he has options, right? I really
most likely not.
yes. I mean, like,
If anything, it's gonna be like minor stuff, like he gets a +1 to his say. You know, it's not gonna be like it's not gonna be something tangible that you could put on the model.
yeah, I'd be really surprised if it was. So I think what we see is what we got for the Scorpec Lord. But the Scorpec Destroyers, they're gonna get a multi-part plastic kit because they got options. That's my guess, anyway, that they will. But because they can either have the Hyperphase Threshers or the Hyperphase Reapblade, right? So if they can do that, if you can do a whole squad of one or the other, and they're showcasing them with 1 and then 2, I imagine they're gonna make a kit to build it how you want.
Yep. And I gotta say, one of the things I love about this kit is I love that their arms are their weapons.
Yeah, and normally I'm not a fan of that, but what I like about it is it still feels like they can use their arms to, push themselves back up and stuff.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, no, it looks like form and function.
yeah, and it looks wonderfully Necron, and those faces, those heads, that's the heads of nightmares. Like, and what I like about these guys, they're not stepping. Even the Flensing Claw isn't stepping on the toes of your flayed ones. They're
Yep.
different. They're completely different. I'm hoping the flayed ones get some rules changes. They're kind of like right now. I mean, they're
But the
cool,
way
but
like
yeah.
but these dudes will mesh very well with them.
Oh yeah, and it's not like they replace it. So
Yep. No, not at all. If anything, they enhance what they already can do.
yeah. Now I do wonder because up next is the little plasmathite, and it says it has the ability to infuse the destroyers with tainted energy. So it's showcased with Scorpec destroyers.
Yep.
Maybe that means normal destroyers can have one too and get infused with whatever tainted energy is. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But they say it's kind of weirdly cute. No, a probe from StarCraft is weirdly cute. This this is it's got even a little pincer claw. It's terrifying. That little thing alone could probably wipe out a whole like Hablock of civilians. I mean, it's
And he's got three little legs. It looks like a little hand.
yeah, he's doing a little hand thing, a little walking around, just like don't mind me. I'm imagining again. Don't want to get too far from rules. This is gonna be long-winded enough as it is. I'm imagining he's kind of like an ammo grot or something. You can't attack it. It's just like a buff. I'm guessing.
I'm digging the little scarab because that's one thing I liked in Dawn of War is where you saw these little scarabs around your arm just chilling, and I like that they're incorporating them in models.
Yep. So somebody played StarCraft and loved the Colossus because the Canoptech Reanimator is kind of the Colossus in Necron form looking.
I was also thinking War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah, War of the Worlds vibe immediately as well. But so this is one of them, and we did kind of talk about his rules a little bit or whatever. But this thing is awesome.
It is freaking cool looking.
It just looks amazing. And remember, this is push fit.
Yeah.
Like that's the crazy part.
Yep.
So,
it's ridiculous.
He can stab you with his feet, stab you with his little stabby hands, or he can just obliterate. He can obliterate you with his atomizer beam lances, which sound really painful.
Yeah.
What are you shooting at them? An atomizer beam lance? Oh, well.
Atomizer beam lance.
Yeah.
And it literally is to disintegrate those that would threaten it.
Yep. And so that's going to be cool. And also, I just love it's a nice imposing presence. And what I like about this, a lot of times, armies have like a one big centerpiece looking thing, or like your HQ is like your Abaddon or your Golem or whatever. And the HQs for the Necrons the Overlord looks great and stuff like that. They look great, fantastic. But I love that like a lot of the centerpiece stuff is like their support things in their army. Yeah. It's just like
I'm really digging this head that it's got because it's kind of like got that. Like, I kind of get that feeling like, that creepy robot that comes down with this, like, camera and kind of looks at you inquisitively, like, ooh,
oh, yeah.
What are you? And you're like, oh, your head gestures make you sound innocent, but your body makes you sound deadly.
Yeah, I can picture it almost like the poor Canoptech Reanimator, like, walking across the battlefield, an enemy comes up to, trying to kill it with like blunting it to death with the back of his las rifle, or trying to stab it with a sword, or like some type of dude who's doing that like to no vein, right? And it looks at it kind of weirdly, swats at it once with his claw thing and kills it, and then kind of pokes it like, what happened? It's not moving anymore.
It was moving before and now it's stopped.
Yeah, it looks great. And I will say Canoptech Wraiths for a little bit of a letdown for me because I like when those were Necrons back in the day. But I do like the idea of Canoptech being their construct. I don't want to say division, but just thing. Anything that's with the exception of the Crypto Thralls, which don't seem to be a Canoptech construction. Anything else is a Canoptech, and that's pretty cool. Including the Scarab Swarms, which this is so much better.
They do look a lot cooler.
The original Scarabs forms, you put like 3 on a base, they would look like, yeah, we get the point.
No, I like this look, this swarm look that they got with them.
Oh yeah, they did a very good swarm look with these guys. It looks fantastic. I I give anybody props who will carefully try to make enough of them separate to count to and magnetize the base to count as wounds for your swarms, because that's gonna be a pain. But I get now because we know the Necron Warriors, which we'll get to in a moment here. We know they're getting a kit. The original kit for Necron Warriors included Scarab Swarms.
Yeah, it came with I think enough to make what, like 1 or 2?
Like I think like So you bought like a 2 squad of warriors and you had a Scarab Swarm unit. Do you think they're gonna do that, or do you think it'll be its own thing, its own little box?
Honestly, I think at this point, since I think they're going to make a kit of them finally.
It'd be interesting. Obviously, if anybody's expecting options and upgrades, you're sorely mistaken. They're literally a swarm of little beetle and Scarab robots.
To be perfectly honest, I kind of almost prefer that, because you may want Scarab Swarms, and you're like, great, now I have to buy another warrior.
Oh yeah, no, I think in the long term it'll be better that way.
Yep.
It was kind of nice because you were kind of getting a free unit if you wanted to use them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've only seen Scarab Swarms used a handful of times, because again, when I saw Necrons used the most, oddly enough, when they had phase out. And
Yep.
you didn't want to take these guys because you wanted more phase out fodder. So,
Yep.
but they look cool. I think these things are oddly cute. Not the Cenobite or Cenobite or whatever it is, the Plasma Site. I'm sorry, but these guys are oddly cute. And I think the trailer did a great job showcasing how swarms would attack you.
Yeah. That poor Space Marine.
Yeah, who probably survived. He probably just hurt. But
he'll get better.
You'll get better. But onwards,
he will be back.
He will be. Oh, maybe. But you know who will be back? These Necron Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these guys are creepy.
Yeah. They really captured that zombie robot vibe very well.
Anything that misses its lower jaw and is functioning like it's no problem is creepy.
Yeah. So, he's probably my favorite head out of all of these, is the one missing his lower jaw.
Now, I do like this and how they look ramshackle and in different pieces, but I'm really hoping...
They're in the middle of the reanimation protocol.
Yeah, but I'm also really hoping that, because these guys will more than likely get a multi-part plastic kit, and these will be just some easy build stuff, my guess.
Yep.
I'm hoping you'll be able to build them pristine in the multi-part kit if you want to. Because they're not always going to be in the middle of being blown apart. You know,
yeah.
Like, I would love to see... Because I love the creepy factor a lot, but I also love that we get to see like underneath the skull of one, for example, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to see just pristine rows of the Necron warrior phalanxes and phalanxes of warriors, and be like, oh my god, this is not good. but I also like this because battle damage is cool, and when you can battle damage the entity itself and it doesn't look gratuitous or gross or weird because it's a robot, which is why they were chosen for the cinematic trailer, because anybody's wondering. They chose them for the trailer because you can shoot and stab and whatever them, no problem. It's just green energy. You can't do that to like Chaos Marines or Cultists. That trailer would not be able to be put on the internet like that on their site. So, as they said, a bolt round to the chest is pretty devastating too, but they couldn't show it. So it's like, but these guys... I'm really liking that they can get Gauss Reapers. Yep. But my whole thought process is now... I thought it would be like an upgrade. For every 5 in a squad, you get 1. But I'm wondering if you could have a whole squad kit out with Gauss Reapers if you wanted to.
From the preview that they mentioned, they basically kind of said, yeah, they can either be all the Gauss guns or Gauss flares, or they can be Gauss Reapers. Like, you can swap them.
Which is cool. It's kind of like the Tesla cannon to the other thing, almost. Yep. Almost, because you have to pick with that, and I think here you get to upgrade. Yeah. But, which is really cool, because for a while, Necron Warriors, the Gauss Flare wasn't bad, but it was kind of like, what upgrades do you give them? Nothing.
Yep. You know, almost a lot of armies had at least some kind of upgrade that their troops could get, and Necron warriors were the only ones that couldn't.
Yeah, I think the Fire Warriors in the very beginning couldn't either.
Yeah,
Except getting like shield drones or whatever.
right now would be the only ones that are along with them that I can think of off the top of my head are Dire Avengers and Guardians, but the Guardians can get a heavy weapon to go with them, so they at least have something.
Exactly. So like now it's like I will say this: rest in peace, Green Tubes. You are officially gone from everything in Necron. I do feel sad. It was just different, right? It was just different and fun.
Different. But it made them stand out.
But I do get why it's gone. Like if you have this amazing detail on a green tube like that, it's kind of like,
yeah.
Plus, so much easier for me to paint them orange colors and not have to buy orange tubes, which do exist.
And they'll probably stay in longer because I could never get those things to stay.
Yeah, getting them to stay and not have the crazed effect from glue was so stupid. That's why a lot of armies you might have seen back in the day, or you might see now of older Necron collections. A lot of them are just missing rods. It's not because they got lazy, because they probably lost them over the years.
No. Even if you had them perfectly snug fit, they find a way to pop out.
Yes, and that is everything from the Indomitus model-wise. Real quick though, transfers. Transfer sheet for the Space Marines. I like the fact that it's not just Ultramarines.
Yes.
Old
transfer sheet. You love that thing.
Yeah, we're still missing that because this doesn't have your salamanders necessarily on or anything like that.
But it's a step in the right direction because it has transfers for each codex that you can buy,
which is nice.
Yep.
Even Space Wolves, which will be the weirdest looking things with the half rows, but still would work. But I'm not just picking on them because I'm not a fan. Like, legitimately, that'd be like kind of the weirdest.
Yeah, no, you'd be like, here's some Norsemen, and here's a dude in a row.
Yeah, so it's like, but yeah, all of them are fantastic, and they included Ravenwing and Deathwing, which is cool, and they included stuff for the Blood Angels and everything. So that's great. But wait, there's more to talk about because they did Beyond the Box, which gave us 2 for each faction. So going down the list, we are hit with the thing that's been making memes, the Invader ATV.
The Mario Go-Kart.
And if this was in Mario, I'd play a lot. If this was in Mario Go-Kart or Mario Kart, I'd play a lot more of it. But this thing is awesome.
This thing's made me love the internet because the memes have just been glorious with this thing.
Oh yeah, they've been doing good. But I really enjoy this thing a lot, truth be told. Cool. A lot of people were kit bashing bikes and attack bikes to make their own quads for a while now.
Yeah, this is kind of like an example of them listening to the community. Oh, people like the idea of a quad bike. Some people aren't savvy enough to make their own quad bikes. We'll do the work.
Exactly. And before anybody, again, ground clearance, is the thing, but the attack bike's same problem with the bike. Also, for those of you who are griping about it and the attack bike, a quad is a much more stable weapon support platform than a bike with a sidecar, which is notoriously unstable on certain turns and can't turn as well wherever the sidecar is.
Yep.
Because bikes have to lean to turn.
Go with all this whole, where's the ground clearance? Like a circle in the back? I'm pretty sure that's so the wheel can bob up and down.
Yeah.
And the front, it looks like it's got suspensions in the front there. So
it definitely does.
These wheels can actually move.
Yeah, we're just looking at a static picture of it. But it's just like, at the same time, it's just like, if anybody's bashing the idea of an ATV as a weapon support platform, which I haven't really seen, sidecar motorcycles don't make sense. There's a reason why nobody really does a modern-day sidecar motorcycle unless you customize one, because they're not safe to ride. Because a bike has to lean to turn, and if the sidecar's on the left, turning to the left is really difficult because you can't really lean. You gotta use the handlebars more and whatnot. It doesn't really work as well, and so it has a much larger turn radius to the left typically, unless you're going slow. And to turn to the right, you gotta lean over to the right as best you can without toppling the whole bike over. Because if you lean too far and the sidecar picks up, and the sidecars could continue its momentum forward and topple you. So, really, they were hindering themselves. So
Let's do the Metalocalypse one where you have like 6 sidecars on
yes,
either side.
that is obviously the best way to do it. But no, the ATV though, great. Now I will say this: it can take a multi melta or the onslaught Gatling cannon.
Yep.
So yes, it can take a weapon. The attack bike can outright making it probably a direct replacement for the attack bike for people
Probably the
installed.
Primaris attack bike.
Yeah, but I mean, of course you're gonna put a multi melt on this thing. We've seen how well it works on an attack bike. It's like,
Yeah.
like I can't.
I can't remember a time where I took a heavy bolter on my attack bikes. It's usually always a multi-melta.
Yeah, I've never. I've always a multi melta on my Ravenwing attack bikes or attack bike because I only really used one, and it always, always did so well.
Yep, you drive that thing up the front and goodbye tanks.
Yeah, but the onslaught Gatling cannon that's intriguing. Yeah, that intrigues me. I'd go for it, to be honest with you. Plus, it looks awesome. And
Definitely
now,
magnetize option.
oh yeah, but I think it looks great. It looks suitably enclosed. Again, fitting in very well with the Repulsor and Redemptor and everything. All styled the same. You don't have a Mark One Rhino with a Mark Two B Land Raider with a Spartan Assault Land. You know what I mean? Like, I love all that. That's part of the charm. That's why I loved collecting the Horus Heresy time period, collecting the ancient stuff. Looks cool. But at the same time, it's also something to be said about your super soldier, transhuman, super soldier, elite space marines being uniform as well. It's something. There's something satisfying with both.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, the last thing is our first look ever at a Primaris Tech Marine that wasn't an Iron Father. The Fire Strike servo turret, and I know people know what. I know people know servos isn't short for servitor. I know they mean it. It's a servo mechanism. It's a real thing. So that's not to get that out of the way. But outside of the fact that why would you put your ammo feed in front of your armor shield so we could see it?
Armored.
Yeah, but, we obviously they do that because it looks cool. But because otherwise it would be weird. But this is what really was lacking for Primaris was dedicated kind of stationary fire support. So you can either do it with a twin accelerated autocannon or a twin las Talon, right?
Yep. And
this really helps them a lot. Not that they were like hurting, but I mean like this really helps a lot.
I love the Neuralink in his helmet. So like given this is how he's seeing through the thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm curious to see how big this thing is, because if it's the proper size, my tarantula guns from Forge World will have a purpose again.
Yes, exactly. But I just love that they gave us a gun platform.
I'm surprised it took so long to get.
Yeah, well, it's just
they're one of the because we've had them with Eldar. I think we have them with Orcs. I was surprised, Xenos armies were, the Biovore to a degree. But it was surprising that, Xenos armies was having that Space Marines were lacking.
Yeah, and we have the Thunderfire cannon, which is still great. And we had Tarantula turrets for Forge World stuff, right? But, and part of it was, and even the Thunderfire cannon is on tracks to roll. And part of it is that Space Marines are meant to be on the move, right?
Yep.
Even with Devastators, they could get up and walk if they have to, obviously, right?
Oh, yeah.
The whole idea of a Space Marines, they are their purpose is shock assault, planetary shock assault, to come out of nowhere, literally drop on your face, or rush in from the front, or wherever else they got to do, and just keep the pressure on you. That's their whole fluff and purpose. And the Primaris were meant to emphasize that by having things dedicated to be certain style ways. You got to play them that way, or else why would you take it? So it's funny that now one of the cool things is gun emplacement that's definitely not that. It can't move.
One of the things I like about this thing is it brings to the table a piece of narrative that has always been kind of lacking, and that's the base defense element.
Yes.
When a Space Marine army makes a fortification, and then they're like, okay, this is where we're gonna go. We now need to defend this position. This screams that. Just imagine a line of these in front of the the Fortress Redemption and a
Oh yeah.
bunch of Marine gun lines behind it. It would look so glorious. And these make perfect for terrain too, because you could make like a Space Marine fortress with these as little decorations in the.
Oh, exactly. It's there's so many. The biggest thrill of a piece like this, which remember this is push fit, just like the ATV, but the biggest thrill of something like this is the simple fact that there's so many uses you could use for everything else. Like you take the tech marine and the seat away, and you could do so much with this.
Yeah.
Like there's some, and that's kind of like the real hidden joy out of it. But base defense, yes. Also like hard points, like a hard point checkpoint system and like Zone Mortalis, right? Boom.
Yep.
Or like even in City Fight style, or dedicated fire lane to defend as your troops move forward. You put this on a
Yep.
high position. It's a lot of stuff that it would definitely work for Space Marine. It's not like it doesn't work. It just took forever to get something like this, which is a direct fire weapon. Thunderfire is not necessarily direct fire.
It just, I think, also helps again with building that narrative with your game, because now you can build up a different narrative other than just troops moving across the field.
Yeah, and also
And kind of help with that storytelling.
yeah, and it can enhance the narrative that you already have going, which is okay. We're gonna hunker down and gonna gunline this to let them come approach, which you've been doing. I've been doing it for years with Devastators and the like. You can now support that with one of these. Like, this could basically hold a lane, and then you can have the Devastators somewhere else to be more in a more strategic position. Because I don't know what the rules are for putting this in area terrain, but that's why I bring it up like that. But it is. I love it, and I love the fact that this is such a good way to be like, hey guys, yeah, Primaris Tech Marines exist. Here's an example. Without going, here's a Primaris Tech Marine, never take a normal Tech Marine again. So, because let's be real, that's what would happen.
Yes.
Unless Servo Harness was only for normal Astartes, then it would.
Which Call would never let them not have a servo harness. But
and it's also cool because this is a Tech Marine without a servo arm. It's like he's straight up killing dudes.
One thing that again, like going off with that whole narrative, which is great, this is something I would envision Space Marines setting up when they invade like a Space Hulk or something.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like Zone Mortalis, perfect.
In the path of the Eldar series, when the Space Marines attacked craft world, and the Space Marines blew a hole through the side of the world, I was expecting, I envisioned, as tactical Marines are running, dudes just setting up sentry guns so the Eldar can't shoot where the dudes are coming from.
Yeah, and for a while now, whenever the narrative did actually have that happen, it was always Tarantula sentry turrets.
Yep.
Even in video games, obviously, it was.
I still have the ones that Forge World made, inspired off the Dawn of War stuff. Yeah. They're great. That's why I kind of hope this is the same footprint, so I can use those, because then I already.
Yeah, it's just that's what it was, and while that worked tactically and everything, it doesn't have the same narrative of a dude manning the guns, right? Yeah, it's just that's a basic server AI program doing gun work. This is and it's a Tech Marine, and it's a Primaris Tech Marine, so we know they exist. We knew they exist. Here's an example in a way that isn't going to step on the toes of a normal Tech Marine entry, because, like I said, unless you can take servo harnesses only on a normal Tech Marine, a Primaris Tech Marine would be the way to go every time because of the stats and everything.
Yep.
Because it would basically have the same rules. That's part of the reasons why the Primaris Chaplains and Primaris Librarians are so limited on what they can take, because why wouldn't you? So,
yeah.
But you had to have them in there, or else people would be like, well, where's all the dudes? So it's just finally cool to see one. Plus, I don't know how he goes together and what you could do for cannibalizing him and really enhance your Iron Hands, whatever, but it looks awesome. So, great job on the Fire Strike servo turret. I hope this gets a multi-part plastic kit. I hope it does.
Oh, probably.
Just because that would make it a lot easier to cannibalize and do stuff cool with. Just picture a motorcade pool, where a convoy comes out of, and you have two of these at the entrances and stuff. It's just perfect.
So many things you could do for cool narrative stuff with these guys.
Yeah.
I love a good mini that can help build a narrative.
Oh yeah, it's not almost never. It's almost never a bad time when the mini looks great and the narrative that you can build with it. It just gets that much juicier because again, you can easily have like a fortified emplacement with Devastator standing behind bunch of sandboxes or whatever. But the narrative is a little bit different when you got Tech Marine on a servo gun that can swivel around and shoot the everything. So,
Basically.
with that said, Necrons don't quite have a narrative of that because like the Locust Heavy Destroyer showcases, it is the floating turret. So,
Destroyers got bam.
yeah, as the people would say. But I don't know exactly if the Locust Heavy Destroyer is gonna be different from like a destroyer in terms of like the way the thrusters are and everything. You know what I mean? Because they call them out as oversized thrusters. That's what I'm saying.
I got a feeling that he's gonna be. I got a feeling he's gonna be like a can only take one kind of dude, and he's going to be like an artillery to go with the heavy destroyers.
Yeah. Now maybe not. I could see, but I hope that way because I would like to have heavy destroyers like they were, but in terms of like the capability you can do with them too, because this kind of looks like it's kill you hard and kill you even harder. Sometimes you got to kill them mediocre hard, like medium hot, medium well. But because they call them as a Locust heavy destroyer, which is why I'm thinking it's different from a heavy destroyer, unless they got a fancy name for heavy destroyers now.
Probably.
So if they did that, then because it does say that these put the heavy back in heavy destroyer. So I don't know if we're gonna get a normal heavy destroyer entry at all. But this thing can take two different weapon options. It can take the one we saw in the Necron Potato, which was like all the Gauss all the time.
Yeah.
And it can take this one. So it can take Gauss Destructors and Amnitic Exterminators. So I do hope, however, we have the normal Destroyer.
I'm sure we're going to because at least in that one leaked photo of the Necron army, we only saw one of these, and heavy destroyers are notorious for being in groups of 3. So I'm thinking that's why I think he's going to either be like an artillery piece or one of these kind of like support units that adds a little bit of extra oomph to a squad of destroyers.
Yeah, the way they describe him is like it definitely seems like he could be, but at the same time they also describe him with just enough to say who knows. But I'm hoping that he's just like a special heavy destroyer.
Yep. But and again, I love how his hands are integrated into the weapon.
Yep. I just love how they're like oversized thrusters because it is some oversized thrusters.
Those thrusters they pack a lot of thrust.
He's on a big base too.
Yeah, that's probably a dread base. 60
So, he looks great. The destroyers and the flame ones, but more so with the range combat because I'm a ranged person and when it comes to shooting versus melee. But they really encompass what I liked about the Necrons. Granted, the flayed ones are because they actually have a disease. But
my only problem with the flayed ones is I wish they changed the minis. I think the minis are goofy than terrifying compared to the old ones.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, right? I doubt they're gonna leave the range untouched.
I just want to go back to the old one where it looks like they're actually trying to wear a dude's skin. The other one just looks like they stripped them into belts and went, "I've got belts on." Like, I like the old design where they have like skin draping over them and they're like, person.
Yeah, because that's what they are still trying to do, and it's this actually is a disease that affects some Necrons. That's why they're the flayed ones. Catan did that to them. But anyway, so they're more diseased, which is why they accentuated their claws and everything like that. Yep. But even with that being the case, and more so the Destroyer, it's what I love about Necrons. The concept that is, we are the weapon platform. We don't man it. We don't use it. We are it. Yeah. We are the thing. That's why when we got like those tomb blade like flyer thingies or whatever, like little like squadron like hovercraft things, I was a little disappointed it was a warrior enslaved to it because I was hoping it would be like it would be like more integrated, but still cool. But I just love this, and this guy really showcases the integration, just like the score packs do as well. So it's something like Necrons sometimes don't get enough credit with being creepy
Yeah.
because we have things like Tyranids and Chaos, even Orcs and Dark Eldar. Like there's a lot of creepy in 40k, and sometimes the Necron creepy goes a little unnoticed. So
Because a lot of their creepy factor, I feel, comes more from their beforehand than their models. Because before it was like, just imagine unflinching towards you, and the models just didn't translate that well.
yeah, yeah. You kind of a little bit. You did kind of a little bit, but basically the unflinching towards you thing. I got it. What you were saying. The models definitely encompass their creepiness better now.
Oh, yeah.
Also, before obviously with the green tubes and stuff, it did detach you a bit because it's a little weird, but also Necron creepy is hard to translate when your army is metallic, right?
Yep.
Because if the flay ones were the closest thing we got to being really genuinely creepy all the time, because you could really gore it up and really look sick, and the fluff on them is still fantastically creepy, and they can modulate their voice to try and mimic the victim's voice,
Like the Predator.
like they're trying to become that, and it's just like it's creepy and it's sad, but you almost feel bad for the flay one if it wasn't trying to wear you, but. I just think, and that Necron creepy is getting a better toll now, and it's coming through here and there and everywhere, right? And it's just, I love me a good all the creepy is great. I'm a big fan of Necrons, and I just love the idea of this. Like the thing I love most about Necrons is they can work really well like a Tyranid, or like the Alien movie, where if you really wanted a horror scene, you only need like one or two.
Yeah.
On like a powered down ship or on like a facility that's like that they cut the power to. The green, we'll just use the stereotypical green glow here and there. All of a sudden, somebody just gets atomized, right?
Yep.
And you hear the clattering of metal scraping on the floor as flay ones lumber towards you, rotting flesh coming off of them because they sense new, right? And like you shoot them and you rip one's arm off, but it just kind of like, or almost off, and it reattaches and swats you. Like it's scary.
Going.
Yeah, like the horror is they will not stop. They cannot be bartered with.
Yep.
They are a machine, and it's despite the fact that they try not to be. But with that said, it's time for the other War of the Worlds. This is the War of the Worlds on crack.
This freaking gun.
This is War of the Worlds meets the Colossus of StarCraft.
Oh yeah.
Meets the Strider of Half-Life 2. So like all roll into three guns. So let's look at this thing.
I love the Doomsday Blaster on it.
Yeah, the Doomsday gun was big and impressive from Necrons to begin with, right? Like it underslung on an arc, for crying out loud. Yep. Now we have a Doomsday Blaster
on top of a dude's head.
Yeah, and he's got twin gauss flares if you just get a little close.
Yep.
But like this. How do you get the perfect gun emplacement? You are the gun emplacement again. Like this, and this is a Canoptech construction. Yeah, it's like, how can we get a good firing position? What if we make the thing really tall so it's always got a good firing position?
It always has the high ground.
Like it's fantastic. I love it.
These new range of minis have kind of activated the launch sequence in me with thinking of picking up Necrons, but then I remind myself that I have too many armies. But then I see stuff like this. Right.
That's the perfect way to describe it. It's kind of like when I see Horus Heresy stuff. Like I'm almost hot news drop. I am actually nearly done with my second Terminator.
Nice.
The first one I started like 2.5 years ago. Almost done with it. So it was my second Thousand Suns model. But...
Well, you're one model ahead of me. I've got heresy related assembled. It's stuffed in a bag or a box in a drawer.
Right. But like, so I obviously I'm gonna have 1,000 Suns Superiority themed army, but I also have my Dark Angels and I want to do the Orange Space Marine concept. But like other than that, like it's all Space Marines, so I really am chomping at the bit. I love Tau, but I love Necrons more. I have to say it.
Between the two of them, Necrons have more flair going for them.
I love Farsight Enclave Tau, and I love Farsight Enclave Crisis Suit only army Tau. Like it's very specific, and like that's something you paint up on the side for fun here and there, and you get some suits. Not like an you don't build like that's not something I view as like. Can you build that as an army? Yeah, but I don't view it as a traditional army. You know what I mean? To build.
Yeah.
Necrons are like my traditional army force. It's not like I don't hate Fire Warriors or Pathfinders. I mean, I don't like Fruit and I don't like the other stuff of Vespids, but like with the Necrons, it's not like I just won't take Flay ones because they don't fit my style.
Yeah.
But I don't dislike them. And I just love I love everything about the Necron range, and all this new stuff is just dripping with. I'm looking at it and I'm going, I gotta learn how to do an orange energy glow because it's gonna be everywhere.
I love, like specifically on this guy, I love how his cabling is designed in just a way like it looks like vines or cobwebs dangling off of him. Like it gets the look of he's ancient.
And going off of that, one of the things I wanted to do with my Necrons, and I might modify the Mephrit visuals a bit because I like this more coppery brass type of body.
Mm-hmm.
And I might do like Mephrit. If this turns out to be like the Silent King's colors, I might do like Mephrit Dynasty that's sworn specifically to the Silent King above all else. And that way they still have the orange glow. And
I know we don't have a picture of him, but that model alone would make me tempted to pick up Necrons because it looks awesome.
That model is too cool for school. I mean, it's awesome. But so like coming up with the ancient thing, one of the things I always wanted to do with the Necron bigger constructs and like is try it and represent them being like overgrown a bit in ancient, and just like cause in the old codex it showed that a bit, and I just love that concept because it's like it's a Necron. It doesn't care if vines are growing on it or if they're dead vines because it's moved around too much now. It's not like, oh, there's something on me, get it off. It's more like I don't care. I don't care. It's like it doesn't bother. It's always like it stays. It's one of the few armors that can do that. But this Doomsday Blaster on this leg looks amazing. I wonder, do you think the Canoptech Reanimator and Doomstalker are going to be like one? Because one's clearly taller than the other. It seems anyway. But by the way they do the pictures, the Doomstalker seems taller than the Reanimator.
Let me just bring up the. I think one of the difference is leg positioning. The Doomstalker, his legs are more straight.
Yeah.
Whereas the Reanimator, his legs are bent a little bit more.
Yeah, so that and also
and it's also the gun. The gun looks a lot.
Oh, the gun's gonna add height, but I also think like the main body being different between the two. I think the main body is a little more hunched.
Does have some differences, yeah.
But regardless of the fact, I wonder if they would, because they don't need multi-part plastic kits because they're pushed for. I doubt they have options again, but something like this is where you would have a kit that could build one or the other, right?
Yeah, no, this would probably be a dual kit.
I'm hoping it does that because I just want the conversion potential of having it be a multi-part plastic kit and not push fit. But anyway, it just looks so good.
But I will say, like, looking at these images of, like, the new book and everything, the scale creep on Marines is... I mean...
The what?
If you scroll down to the next picture, that Primaris Marine is getting huge. The scale creep is way too bad. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, that's actual scale against Necrons. It's literally ridiculous.
That's a super Primaris, so everybody get ready. Your Primaris Marine is out next year and replaced with super Primaris.
Yes. If anybody believes that, I got a bridge to sell you.
That's a joke going around in my group.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that is the last of the stuff to talk about in this ramble. This is long-winded as Ramblecasts always are. So yeah. I do want to say this though. Whether or not
the Silent King comes out,
oh god, the Silent King's gonna get this treatment just as we dissect every little last morsel of that beautiful creation. Because holy. But so
But once we're gonna have to talk about that once they drop a proper photo of him
oh
because
yeah,
dang.
that and that new Catan. Mm-mm.
Mm.
Finger looking good, but
Yeah, that void dragon thing. That's what I'm convinced it's void dragon
I'm not, only because the Void Dragon has no shards of it yet.
that we know of. They've kind of made a hint that he does have that there were shards of him.
They also made the hint that he's whole, so
It's
it could just be like an aspect of the Void. It doesn't even have to be the Void Dragon. It could be something else equally cool. It's just that it looks amazing.
it does look cool.
But yeah, but with the stuff from Indomitus, this box set,
It's gonna be
they say,
expensive.
but still a deal.
Yeah. No.
These,
They're already saying this box set, you're saving 50% on all the models.
oh yeah, and if you did the math of previous box sets, you save a lot of money. So, and this is a huge box set. This they said it was their biggest. I think it literally is their biggest.
Yeah, no, I have not seen anything with this much content before.
And whether or not you play either faction, right? Because of course any box set leaves other factions out, right?
Yep.
Orcs had one for a time. Tyranids were part of one for a time. Chaos has been part of it. So things get left out. It's fortunately / unfortunately, Space Marines never get left out because they kind of are the big poster child.
Yep.
But even still, even if you're a fan of neither of these two factions, I have to say, and I think you will agree, a job well done on these miniatures, especially as they are touting they're all push fit. And if you're really new and not really understanding what I mean by push fit, we used to call it snap fit back in the day as well.
If you
like
if
Space
you ever
Hulk.
if you ever build like a Gundam kit, that's a good example. You don't need glue to put them together.
Yeah. And the idea, and it's although nowhere near as articulated and sophisticated,
But the closest thing that probably some of our
it's like a snap tight introductory model kit from
if you guys picked up those Space Marine hero things, basically, guys.
So, and those have come a long way before this kit. Dark Vengeance was really good looking. Space Hulk was one of the first times you saw it really good looking. It still looks good to this day.
Yep.
Right. All those, which go on to become usually easy to build kits and whatnot because you don't need any glue.
Yep.
Have come a long, long way over the years.
Oh yeah.
Sanctus Reach and Assault on Black Reach or whatever.
Whatever it was called. Reach was the third ed.
Yeah, that one.
Third or fourth ed. I can't remember.
You looked at that. You're like, yeah, they snap fit is great, whatever. But now you're like, wow, like Dark Vengeance. I'll use that as an example as this tangent. You look at that and you go, wow, those Ravenwing will look great as part of my Ravenwing. Like, like I don't need to like. It's not like, wow, this will flush out my tactical Marines. Woo. But like, wow, this looks good. Like, and now you look at this and you're like, those are not multi-part plastic kits, really? Like, because I thought they were.
Yeah, no, until you told me, I thought these were multi-part plastic kits, which now explains why probably explains why the thing probably won't be $300.
Yeah, but I mean, we're getting to a point now though where you can't really say that about snap fit anymore. Like,
yeah,
love or hate GW, they are single-handedly responsible for pushing plastic model technology forward. Yep. This is a perfect example of that. And
there's one thing that all these great models and all these cool kits and the fact that they're all push fit leaves me with one big burning question for GW.
What's that?
Where's the plastic Thunderhawk?
Give it time. We're getting there. Maybe.
Well, we have the Lion. We have Plastic Sisters.
Yeah.
There's only one more in the trifecta here.
It's true. It really is true. But yeah.
Technically, right now, once the line comes out, I could do the line riding a Thunderhawk filled with Plastic Sisters. The Thunderhawk's are present.
Yeah. A plastic Thunderhawk would be a dream come true for sure. But
GW, next Apocalypse box kit. Plastic Thunderhawk.
Plastic Thunderhawk. But yeah, no, but I think this is a boiling over point for plastic kits now. Multi-part plastic kits are cool. I love them. I don't want them to go anywhere. They are classic staples. But we're now at a point, at least GW while, and I'm sure others will catch up with time. The GW is at a point where they technically don't need the multi-part plastic kit for the detail at
No.
all. I don't want that to happen because again, I like kit bashing conversion. Not that you can't do it; it's just a little bit harder when it's push fit.
Yeah, and so on the plus side, this makes it less disheartening for new players because, like, I remember back in the day, you'd be like, "Wow, kits! Oh, you managed your running and stabbing. My guy's kind of pathetic now. Like now, those guys that either don't have the time, the skill, or the resources don't need to have them to have these dynamic-looking armies that can compare with the dude who has the time, the resource, cut their dudes up and make these awesome poses.
Yeah, it's really awesome poses.
And
but if you want to, you can cut these guys up and do that.
And even with that, dynamic posing, I think, helps more with kit bashing because there's less work involved. Oh, I need a dude holding a sword outright. Oh, this dude charging has the arm I need. Instead of, okay, let me take an arm, cut him in, put in a paper. Now get me. And, it kind of that goes faster because your imagination just needs to play basic Lego with the piece instead of trying to be a model designer.
Yeah, that's true. Because with the old pieces, like you said, you bust out your old paper clip, even those plastic model you were cutting up, because you cut them up and you cut things to fit. And sometimes you had to grab the green stuff and fit it in the middle. It was a big pain in the butt. But my takeaway is I love everything in this kit. I will probably use everything in this kit, right? Because I want to go Mefred Dynasty or Mefred Dynasty with some bronze-ish colored bodies instead of silver. We'll see. Well, we'll see how I can meander that. But either way, Mefred Dynasty. And I got my own DIY chapter I want to do Primaris only stuff on, and this is a perfect way to do that.
Yeah. So you don't want to split the kit.
What? No, I don't want to split a kit. I'm in a different state anyway. But
have you seen
I'll split it. What?
The meme of the Necron waking
up. Yes, I have. Split a kit.
We go, want to split the box set? Want to split?
Yeah. But I mean, the funny thing is, if I ever was in a position to split it, I'd split and be happy either way. It's like, oh, you're Space Marine player, I'll take the Necron stuff. Oh, you're Necron player, I'll take the Space Marine stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. But my takeaways, that Blade Guard Ancient kind of stole the show as a sleeper hit for me.
Yeah, no, he's probably the best unexpected awesome mini in the kit.
Yeah, and for squads, the Eradicators are my favorite squad type. Because as much as the bikes are cool, I just love a good Melt-A-Gun. I'm a Plasma fan, but Melta is awesome.
I am torn between the Eradicators and the Blade Guard.
Blade Guard are phenomenal, too. I love Shooty. That's why I went that way.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, Shooty is always awesome, but I don't know, for some reason, I always feel like the close combat units look just so cool looking.
Oh, they do look awesome. And for the Necrons, for me, it's the Overlord and the Royal Warden are all I just make an army full of those guys. I mean, I love their look. And of course, the Necron Warriors are a fantastic update to something. But those two and the Reanimator.
For me, it would be the Overlord and the Phasemancer are my two.
The Plasmancer?
Yeah, the Plasmancer.
Yeah, he's fantastic because his weapon's fantastic.
And vehicle-wise, the Doom Slayer has got it for me.
The Doom. Oh yeah.
The Doomsday thingy. The Doom.
Yeah. Kind of the additional stuff, the Doom stuff. I love the Locust, this Heavy Destroyer. Don't get me wrong, but
the way that one reminds me of that one art piece in the third ed Necron Codex of the Destroyer, where I was like, man, bottom looks way thicker than the mini.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks like that.
That image much better.
Oh yeah, but the Canoptech Doomstalker is probably of the Beyond the Box. That's the thing I like the most. I love the Destroyer, but this is just something so new and different about this Doomstalker.
Yeah, no, the Doomstalker takes it and
for me the Fire Strike Servo Turret.
Yeah.
The ATV is cool, but the Servo Turret is
cool. But we've seen mods like that before.
Yeah, and this
only a matter of time that they actually make it.
Yeah, and Primaris Tech Marine fly on the field. Because for the longest time, I've been like, I know they exist, GW. Just give us something.
Yeah, we know they exist because they pilot the tanks, but we never see them.
Yeah. So it's cool to get to see them in this way.
Oddly, the only ones where the pilots aren't invisible.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Because you want them to die.
Well, where is life without risk?
They're Space Marines, sir. Their life is risk, but
which even makes it more worthwhile for them to just drive around with them clearly visible, so everyone knows the pilot.
Well, with that said, we could go on and on, but this Ramble cast has gone long enough for I'm sure most of you. So if you followed along from beginning to end, right? Good on you. Hit some sort of button. Let me know. More importantly, what are your takeaways from these kits? Like these two, the box set and then the extra 2 stuff per faction. Like in terms of what one would you just hit like wow by? Like for us, I think it's safe to say the big wow model was the Bearer, the Blade Guard Ancient. Blade Guard Ancient came out of nowhere and was amazing. That's the big wow. So what was your big wow? And on top of that, what do you just really enjoy and look forward to getting your gribbly little hands on and painting up? So thanks very much for tuning in. We'll probably do a Ramblecast in the future. Like we said, the moment Silent King happens, it's going to happen. Yep. So
Silent King, and probably when the Lion shows up, which will just be an hour and a half of us going, oh my god, oh my
god. Just going, oh, it's so cool. Just for an hour straight. But, anyways, thanks very much for tuning in. You got any closing statements?
No. Where's my plastic Thunderhawk?
Where's the plastic Thunderhawk? You heard it here first, folks.